Picture this, folks. You're cruising through life, feeling like you finally got your act together. Those old skeletons in the closet, buried deep, lessons learned, moving on. Then bam, out of nowhere, someone you thought was in your corner digs it all up and throws it in your face like a sucker punch. Remember that mess you made back then? That's the real you. Your heart races, not from the memory itself, but from the sting of betrayal. It's like they're wielding your history as a weapon, aiming right for your peace of mind. But hold on. What if I told you there's a way to turn that blade dull, to stand tall without firing back? As a guy who's walked a few miles in these shoes, drawing from the ancient wisdom of Stoicism that's pulled me through my own storms, I'm here to share how you can master this. Stick with me, and by the end, you'll have the tools to face down anyone trying to chain you to your yesterday. And hey, if this resonates, drop a comment below with where you're tuning in from, whether it's the bustling streets of New York or a quiet spot in the Midwest. Let's see how far this Stoic vibe is spreading. Your past doesn't define you. How you face it does. I've learned that the hard way, over decades of ups and downs in this great American experiment we call life. From business flops in the 90s to personal heartbreaks that could have sunk me, Stoicism, pulled from the likes of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, has been my North Star. Imagine you're at peace, finally. You've closed the books on those old wounds, the mistakes that kept you up at night, the years you'd rather not revisit. Then, one day, it happens. Someone, maybe an ex, a former colleague, even a family member you once trusted with your soul, reaches back into that shadows and yanks it out like a rusty dagger. They twist it slowly, reminding you of pain you figured was long buried. With that mix of fake sympathy and real disdain in their voice, they hit you with, "You remember that, right?" That's who you were. In that split second, your chest tightens up, not just because the past is staring you down again, but because you sense the manipulation, their attempt to use it as leverage. It's betrayal reincarnated, and it cuts deep. Now, what's our knee-jerk reaction? Most of us, myself included in my younger days, we flare up. We get mad, defensive. We start spilling explanations left and right. I've changed. That's not me anymore. But here's the trap, my friends. The more you justify, the more you squirm, the tighter they grip the reins on your emotions. You're basically handing them the remote control to your inner world. But a true Stoic? Nah, we don't play that game. Today, drawing from my own battles and the timeless teachings that have shaped me, I'll lay out 3 Stoic responses for when someone weaponizes your past. These aren't shouts or comebacks laced with venom. They're delivered with rock-solid calm, the kind that comes from knowing your worth isn't up for debate. First up, yes, that happened. Our ego's first move is always denial. We want to wipe the slate clean, pretend it was all a bad dream, bury it so deep it never sees daylight. But in Stoic philosophy, which I've studied and lived through thick and thin, from reading Aurelius during late-night shifts to applying it in boardroom showdowns, acceptance isn't surrender, it's freedom. When they throw something like, "I remember how you tanked that business venture," or "You got burned in that relationship because of your own dumb choices," you don't blink. No dodging, no excuses. You meet their gaze, steady, and say, "Yes, that happened." No shame tagging along, no guilt weighing you down. Why does this pack such a punch? It robs them of what they're really after, your emotional fireworks. These folks aren't digging for facts, they're mining for control. They want to see you fidget, backpedal, beg for understanding. But when you own it without a flinch, their ammo fizzles out, the knife loses its edge. Let me paint a picture from my own life. An old buddy once brought up how I got canned from a job back in the day over a boneheaded error. I just nodded and said, "Yes, that happened." And it taught me a lesson I carry every day. Boom, disarmed. Because once you drop the shame about your former self, nobody can leverage it against the man you've become. Seneca, that wise old Roman whose words have echoed through my toughest times, put it beautifully. There's nothing nobler than facing your flaws head on and declaring, "Yeah, I did that, and I've grown from it." By accepting your past, you snatch back the narrative. You own your story, not letting some outsider scribble all over it with their biases. Moving to the second response, I've learned from it. This one's a game changer. It flips your history from a burden into a badge of honor. It shifts the spotlight from "I screwed up" to "Look how far I've come." Those who dredge up your old dirt, they're stuck viewing you through yesterday's lens, blind to the evolution. But you're like steel, tempered in the forge. Every crack, every shatter makes you stronger, sharper. In Stoicism, those fractures aren't flaws. They're entry points for growth, for light to pour in. Think of icons like Nelson Mandela, locked away for 27 years, a past that had crushed most souls. Yet he emerged saying, "I don't hate them. True freedom starts inside." I've drawn from that in my own journeys, from overcoming financial ruins to rebuilding relationships. So when someone sneers, "You bond in your marriage. How dare you talk about love now?" You grin easy and reply, "Exactly because I was shattered, I get what love ain't and what it truly is." That's not defensiveness. That's hard-earned wisdom on display. You're not justifying, you're redefining. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher whose meditations I've pored over during cross-country drives, nailed it. Every obstacle is a chance to hone virtue. When they tried to tarnish you with yesteryear, wield that very history to showcase your resilience. That's transformation in action, converting agony into insight, wounds into wisdom badges. And here's a bit I've added from my reflections. In our fast-paced American culture, where everyone's chasing the next big thing, remembering to pause and extract lessons from the falls is rare. But it's what separates the survivors from the thrivers. I've seen it in veterans I've known, turning war scars into stories of hope, or entrepreneurs pivoting from bankruptcy to breakthroughs. It's about embracing the grind, letting it sculpt you. Now the third response. Why are you bringing this up now? This question? It's a quiet thunderbolt that shuts down the games. No heat, no snark, just honest curiosity wrapped in calm. And that unflappable vibe? It's what rattles them most. By asking why, you flip the script. From victim of the jab to observer of the jabber. They aimed to puppeteer your feelings. Now they're squirming under scrutiny of their own agenda. You've essentially handed them a mirror, forcing a stare down with their hidden shadows. If their heart's in the right place, your query prompts a rethink, maybe some regret. But if it's malice, they fold like a cheap suit. Epictetus, the slave-turned-sage whose teachings got me through my own chains of doubt, said it straight. The one hurting others is already hurting inside. They dredge your past 'cause they're dodging their now. From my vantage, after years navigating corporate politics and personal feuds, this response has saved me countless headaches. It reclaims the power dynamic without a raised voice. Your poise turns into impenetrable armor. Your quiet, a fortress. Let's linger here a moment on the power of silence and self-control, because it's the bedrock of all this. As a Stoic practitioner who's faced down boardroom betrayals and family rifts, I can tell you, silence ain't weakness. It's supreme strength. When provocation comes knocking, every rash reply is like tossing them the keys to your kingdom. Seneca warned, "He who angers you conquers you." You might lose the spat, but you claim victory in serenity. In our noisy era of social media rants and endless debates, the silent one commands the room. A colleague once griped, "You never blow up, that freaks people out." I chuckled. It's not about scaring folks, it's about guarding my inner peace. Once you grasp that, you realize, nobody drags you into the dirt unless you volunteer. Worried about misconceptions? I counter, if they misjudge, does it alter your core? Epictetus quipped, "If called a donkey, do you grab a mirror? Nah, 'cause you know your truth." That's liberty. Self-knowledge sans approval-seeking. If they harp on errors, smile. If they warp your history, hush. If they fish for drama, serve calm. You don't owe breakdowns of healed wounds. Aurelius advised, when wronged, educate via actions, not arguments. Often maturity speaks loudest. When they box you by past, your today mirrors their lacks. We've all got those outdated selves we're not thrilled about. But without them, no current you. Naive, frail, imperfect. They schooled you in grit, forbearance, resurgence. An ex-addict guides recovery. A failed mogul mentors wins. The betrayed embodies pardon. That's alchemy. Shadow to shine. Stoics don't delete history. We alchemize it. And a touch more from my lens. In America's land of second chances, this rings true. From Lincoln's early flops to modern comebacks like Oprah's, it's the pivot that defines legends. Embrace the mess. It's your forge. To wrap up our Stoic arsenal, let's circle back to that conclusion. The Stoic way to seal the deal when the dust settles. People will keep trying to yank you back by your past, not because you're frail, but because your rise shines a light on what they could have been. When you climb, you turn into their mirror. And brother, not everyone's ready for that reflection. They don't strike because you're shattered. They strike because you've mended. You're calm, it rattles their storm. So etch these three into your soul. First, own your past, no shame attached. Second, forge every stumble into a lesson, not a ball and chain. Third, flip the script with questions, not knee-jerks. Let your steady gaze show them their own mess. That's Stoic victory, folks. Not in the roar, not in the rebuttal, but in pure dignity. You don't gotta brawl to prove evolution. Those who get you, they need zero proof. Those who won't, no words'll sway them anyway. One day soon, it'll happen again. Someone dredging up old ghosts. And you'll smile. Not cocky, not sore, but serene. 'Cause deep down, you'll know. I ain't what happened to me. I'm how I rose from it. That's real American freedom. The kind our founders chased. Not erasing yesterday, but finding peace even when it whispers. Your history, it doesn't own you. How you square up to it, that's the boss. And if they try hauling you back to some dusty page, flash that grin and say, "Thanks, but I've already turned that chapter. Then stride off, cool, rooted, untouchable. Like a true Stoic, striding the streets of Philadelphia or the beaches of California. If this fires you up, pass it on. Let it free somebody still chained to their yesterdays. Oh, and if you're carving your own Stoic trail, hit that subscribe. Join this tribe of steady minds and iron wills. Drop in the comments right now. I've closed that chapter. My story rolls forward. Say it out loud. Own it. That's your Stoic oath for today. But wait, let's not stop here. Because as a guy who's logged thousands of miles across this country, from Wall Street crashes to Rocky Mountain resets, I've seen Stoicism do more than just dodge bullets. It's built empires of the mind. Let me take you deeper, expanding on these tools with stories from my life and the masters, plus a bonus layer I've honed over decades. How to preempt these attacks altogether. We're talking proactive peace, the kind that makes manipulators think twice before even trying. Remember that first response? Yes, that happened. Let's flesh it out with a tale from my early days in Chicago, back when I was hustling real estate in the 80s boom. Partner stabs me in the back, tanks a deal, leaves me holding the bag for 6 figures. Years later, at a networking mixer, he corners me. Remember how you blew that property flip? Amateur hour. My blood could have boiled, but I locked eyes, breathed deep, like Epictetus drilling me in my truck commutes, and said, yes, that happened. Flat, firm, no frills. He blinked, stammered, expecting fireworks. I added, just a touch. It showed me who to trust. Conversation died right there. He slunk off, tail between legs. Why? Because I didn't just accept. I reframed in real time. Seneca's nobility in action. From that, I built a rule. Every morning, journal 1 past hit and 1 lesson. 10 minutes, folks. Keeps you armored. I've done it through divorces, market crashes, even a health scare in 2005. Result? Unshakable. Try it. Your past becomes a professor, not a prosecutor. Now, layer 2. I've learned from it. This ain't lip service, it's rocket fuel. Picture Nelson Mandela, but bring it home. Think Abraham Lincoln, our ultimate Stoic president. Dude lost 8 elections, buried 2 kids, battled depression. Yet when critics hurled his flops, he didn't duck. I've learned from it. He'd imply through action, rising to save the Union. I lived that in 08 when the recession gutted my portfolio. Old investor calls. You promised returns. Look at you now, washed up. I paused, smiled. I've learned from it. Diversified smarter, and here's the proof. My new fund's up 20%. Boom. Power shift. He invested. Marcus Aurelius vibes. Obstacles as virtue practice. From my playbook, expand it 10%. After saying the line, share 1 micro lesson tailored to them. I've learned patience pays in volatile markets, like this deal we're eyeing. Turns attack to alliance. I've closed $1 million handshakes that way. In our Go-Go USA, where failure's a scarlet letter, this flips it to gold. Veterans I mentor, they say it to PTSD triggers. I've learned resilience. Scars shine. And that third gem. Why are you bringing this up now? Oh, it's a scalpel. Epictetus's mirror, sharp as a Texas blade. My story. Family reunion in Texas. Uncle digs up my wild college days. Partier, huh? Still are. Room tenses. I lean in, calm as a summer lake. Why are you bringing this up now? He froze, mumbled about concern. Exposed. Turned out he was projecting his regrets. We hugged it out later, motives unmasked. To amp it. Follow with silence. Count to 5 in your head. Let it hang. Their squirm is your win. I've used this in depositions, negotiations, flips boardrooms. Epictetus nailed it. Hurters are hurting. In America's therapy culture, this question's rare gold. Cuts through noise, sparks real talk. Bonus, journal their answer nightly. Patterns emerge. You dodge repeat offenders. Now, the silence and self-control we touched on, let's supercharge it. Seneca's, "He who angers you conquers you." I've tattooed that mentally. During a brutal custody battle in '95, ex's lawyer slings mud. Unfit father, history proves it. I, silent, breathed. Won the case on composure alone. Judge saw her frenzy, my steel. In podcast world today, where hot takes rule, silence is your superpower. Guest rants? Pause. Interesting. They deflate. Expand with my ritual. Daily anger audit. Evening list provocations. Rate your calm 1 to 10. Mine's hit 10 out of 10 for years. Epictetus's donkey quip? I teach it to my kids. Own your mirror. Freedom's knowing your worth. No polls needed. In red state rallies or blue city cafes, this unites. Approval's a trap. Worried about judgment? Nah. Aurelius. Teach by doing. When they define you old school, your now exposes their voids. My addict days. Now I keynotes recovery. Crowds cheer the transformation. Flawed you birthed fierce you. Naive gave grit. Weak built patience. Betrayed forged forgiveness. Alchemy pure. American twist. Our history's full. Slavery to moon landings, falls to flights. Lincoln's better angels. Oprah's couch to empire. Embrace the forge. It's legend making. Preempting attacks. New layer, 10% fresh. Stoic shields. First, curate your circle. Seneca's retreat from fools. I audit contacts yearly. Cut energy vampires. Second, broadcast growth upfront. LinkedIn post. From 92 bust to 25 boom. Lessons learned. Disarms preemptively. Third, daily affirmation. My past empowers, doesn't ensnare. Say it mirror side, coffee in hand. Real life. Before my TEDx, I preempted doubters with a video. Yes, I failed big. Here's how it fueled this. Standing ovation. Folks, this is proactive stoicism. American ingenuity meets Roman resolve. We've all got those old selves. But sans them? No you. Ex-addict saves lives. Bankrupt builds boards. Betrayed teaches trust. Darkness to dawn. Conclusion redux, deeper. They attack healed you cause your peace mocks their mess. 3 tools. Own, learn, question. Win with dignity. Next jab, smile. I'm the rise, not the fall. Freedom's peace amid memory. Share this, free a friend. Subscribe. Stoic Tribe awaits. Comment. Chapter closed. Forward march. Live it, y'all. One final tale. To seal 3,000 words strong. Last month, Denver coffee shop. Barista. Old flame. Snipes. Still the flake. I grinned. Yes, that happened. I've learned from it. Why now? Silence. She blushed. Jealous of your vibe. We laughed. Bond reborn. That's Stoicism. Past as bridge, not barrier. You're not defined by what was, but by your stand. Rise, America. Untouchable.